Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into one of the absolute foundational tools of the English language, mastering the past tense. You know, if you've ever sort of stumbled when trying to tell a story, or maybe you just really want to make your communication crisper and more precise, you're exactly in the right place. We're going to break down the exact mechanics of this step by step.
So I want you to think about this question for a second. How do we actually talk about what happened in 2008? Or, for that matter, what happened literally just this morning? Sharing our history and recounting events is, well, it's pretty essential to being human. But to do it clearly, we need a very specific structural mechanism. Think of this as the core problem we're going to solve together today. How do we reliably let our listeners know that an action is totally over and done with?
To figure this out, we're going to be relying on our past tense reference card. You can think of this beautifully structured blueprint as our personal guide for time travel in language. Throughout this whole explainer, we'll be pulling specific elements straight from the source to build our understanding right from the ground up. It literally has the whole shebang: the definition, the formula, the examples, and yeah, even those tricky little exceptions.
Okay, let's start with the absolute basics. The past tense describes actions or events that already happened. Notice the heavy emphasis on already happened. This grammatical tool acts as a strict boundary. It's meant exclusively for realities that are completely in the rearview mirror. So if an action is still ongoing, or if it hasn't even started yet, well, this is definitely not the tool you want to use. We are dealing strictly with completed realities here.
So, how do we actually construct this thing? Well, for most regular verbs in English, there's a golden formula. It's simply the subject plus the verb with an ed suffix plus the object. Honestly, it's like a beautifully efficient, almost mathematical system for instantly transporting an action into the past. You just take your base verb, you attach that ed ending, and boom, you've successfully shifted the time frame. Let's actually listen to how this formula builds in practice. She walked to work. They finished the report. He called the client. We discussed the plan. Do you hear that? By consistently applying that ed suffix, we're creating this incredibly strong, unmistakable auditory signal to the listener. We're telling them for sure that the walking, the finishing, the calling, and the discussing are 100% wrapped up.
All right, let's move right along to section 1, the rule breakers.
Now, of course, English being English, it definitely has its rogue elements. We have a map of some really common irregular transformations where our nice, clean mathematical formula just totally breaks down. Our base verbs are on the left: go, buy, write, and speak, but as you know, we don't say good, we say went. We definitely don't say buyed, we say bought. Write transforms into wrote, and speak shifts entirely into spoke. These are essentially little glitches in our neat grammar system. And honestly, they just simply have to be memorized so you can deploy them correctly.
Which brings us to section 2, spotting the clues.
Now that we've got our golden formula for regular verbs down, and we've identified some of those irregular rule breakers, let's take a look at the dashboard dials that help us successfully navigate time. We want to look for signal words, things like yesterday, last week, ago, and in 2008. Now, these aren't just extra fluff words. They act as secondary confirmations to your verb, instantly anchoring your listener in a very specific time frame. It's basically the ultimate grammatical teamwork, ensuring there is absolutely zero confusion that the action has already been completed.
So, you now have the exact blueprint for linguistic time travel. You've got the regular formula, the irregular rule breakers, and those handy signal words. I'm going to leave you with a challenge. What story will you tell about yesterday? I really encourage you to take this blueprint and apply it directly to your very next conversation. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep learning.